But that whole journey of about year and a half, it was like I didn't sleep. I don't know what eating meant. I don't know. I lost my taste, my this thing. I don't know what. I was like a zombie, day in and day out, working out. Just with one hope in mind. I have to get this back. I will not fail and I will not go out of business. It's a very unfair world, an unfair world on a everyday basis. You want to do something, but you probably are not able to do it because you cannot tell somebody that this is what I really want to do, because I'll have to follow that same path which you probably want to do it, and this is how the world works.
I'm so excited because there are so many parallels reading your profile. So I'm really curious, and you've been a fighter from what you have seen. Uh, your childhood and your school. What was your family like? Where did you do your schooling? If you can take us through.
So let me start with my schooling. So my dad was in he was a government servant. uh, he was someone who had actually, I remember correctly him telling us his stories, when he started his job as a government servant, that he used to technically cycle about 30 to 50 kilometers every day to make a TA bill, so that he could get some extra money besides the salary which he used to get. Government service was like, for him,
Exactly.
he was not a gazetted officer when he actually joined it, and for him, that was some extra money he was able to make. He says, I had to struggle that hard to get that money, basically for us to function as a family. We are three brothers. I'm the eldest, and the only thing which he probably had in his mind when we were growing up, in fact when I grew up, his sole ambition, of what is was like, for him, that ambition was that I want to teach my sons in a convent school. So that was what his
Wow.
this was. We were He was posted in a place called Hoshiarpur. That was, before his marriage. The moment he got married, he was transferred to Delhi, and Delhi I was born. And when I was born, then from there, then he was transferred to Ajmer, and Ajmer is like, it is the education city, even till now. With all the
Mm-hmm.
Mayos and everybody being there. I was put in a school called St. Mary's over there because my dad could not probably get that fees, which he could possibly pay for Mayo, and I could sense
Okay.
that, when he did that. And then for me, he got transferred to Jaipur. Jaipur, he then put me to one of the best schools at that point on, because at that point of time, if you look at it, convents were like, which was uh,
Yes,
kind of
they
a.
were like the prized. Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly. There were never used to be public school. Public school hote bhi the that I was in Delhi, but in Jaipur, and put me into St. Xavier's, and he said for him that was his biggest trophy, which he got, when I got admission into St. Xavier's, and he used to brag it in front of his seniors also, my son goes to St. Xavier's. It was like a kind of a trophy which he got, because his only thought was to give me the best possible education, and to his two other to his
And
two other
so, how
children.
many schools you studied, HP?
So I was in St. Mary's in Ajmer, but that was my kindergarten days. Then I studied up till 1970, which was, I think, I got transferred from St. Xavier's Jaipur to St. Xavier's Delhi in the fifth standard. And in fact, for me, when I was in the first, in fact, I had done a few months in my first standard, and I was kind of bright. I got a double promotion. I had to speak.
Wow.
I actually, didn't do my second. In fact, went to do the third straight on, and then got transferred to St. Xavier's Delhi, and Delhi. Then I came over here and joined the fifth standard, and then from fifth till 11th, we had high secondary. We didn't have 10 plus 2. Ours was the last
Okay.
higher secondary batch. It all used to finish off at 11th, and then we go to college from there. So I did my fifth
So you
grade
had
to
three schools ideally so far in
yes,
your.
yes, yeah.
And in your schooling, what do you think were, if you were to look at some of the most difficult moment in your childhood in school, what is it that you would recollect?
Uh, so as would have it, technically for me, I still remember because I skipped one class in between. Maybe that really caught up with me. And being the eldest, I don't know. Maybe I was more spoiled for studies and all. Basically, the whatever it is. So for me, when we actually had to take, we had to choose our subjects. When we were in the ninth, and on the basis of our eighth report card. So
Hmm,
for
hmm,
me,
hmm.
my dad really wanted me to be a doctor. So for him, you will have to take science. Come what may. And you won't believe it. I flunked in physics. I flunked in chemistry. Bio, I
Oh
could
my God.
scrape through. And for me, the school actually gave me a cross on science. So I had to take commerce. And my dad was so devastated that I remember now that he practically was cajoling me, telling me, "You take science, I'll go and talk to the principal. You have to become a doctor." And I was so this thing because I couldn't understand physics, chemistry. For me, it was like alien subjects. I said I will not do it. Somehow I stood my ground and I said, no, I will not be able to do it. My dad cajoled me, pleaded, whatever he did. I'll go to the principal, I'll tell him, to give science to you. Finally, my mother stepped in, and she said, when he doesn't want to do it, why do you want to push him? But I think I broke his heart at that point of time. Somewhere or for him, it was like a very big letdown. He wanted his son to be a doctor, and that was something, which I probably, refused to do because I knew I will not be able to even go through able to pass my ninth grade. So I took commerce.
And did that strain your relationship with your dad for a
No,
while,
no,
or
no, 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 no. It didn't. It was like that. He had this desire in him that I would love to see him as a doctor. A desire which transferred from me to my second brother. And when my second brother was doing his 10+2, he took science. He went for his medical entrance, didn't qualify over there. Again, changed
okay,
it into commerce. So that was the second blow which he
let
had.
down?
Yeah, my third brother, he chose science. He was like the brightest amongst all the three of us. He chose science, and then he actually went right after school to the US on a scholarship. But he wanted to become an engineer, so he became an engineer. But I think that at that point of time, my dad had lost all hopes that
Yes,
only he'll
we
go
got.
through. But just to go forward on that, so for him, it was his dream to see one of his son to become a doctor. Why?
Got it.
Because somewhere in his manifestation, one of my chachas became a doctor, but he became a doctor less, not in 5 years. It took him about 8, 9 years. He flunked so many times, and but he finally became a doctor. So for him, that whole image of being or having a doctor in the family was like huge, huge. So
Mm-hmm.
we didn't do justice to it. Definitely yes. But fast forward, my father passed away in 2015. Oh, sorry, 2016.
Sorry.
My mother passed away in 2015. But somewhere I don't know. It's a connect, which probably stayed with me forever in my life. Because that's what I could see in his eyes. Recently, about 8 months back, I got an honorary doctorateship
Lovely.
from a university on microfinance and financial inclusion. And that day, when they told me that you are Dr. HP Singh now, I
Uh,
actually sat down in my home. I actually opened up my eyes. I opened up my conversation with my dad and told him, I'm sorry I could
Beautiful.
not do it at that point of time, but I fulfilled your wish, even though you're not there. Even if it's not a medical doctor, I still got that doctorate with me, and I can put doctor in it. I hope it gives you that kind of a pleasure, and which I feel right now today after having satisfied whatever that was. So that's where it all came down to be.
Fascinating. Fascinating. I mean, lost for words, but yes, I mean, it brings back a
Yeah,
lot of
I know.
memories.
For me it was, yeah. For me it
Uh,
was like like as if I just
I
did
can
it for you.
completely imagine because I took up CA because I wanted to become a doctor. My dad wanted me to become a CA because he couldn't become a CA.
Okay.
So I ended up becoming a CA for him. So I can completely imagine where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's a thanks for sharing,
No,
HBJ.
no, pleasure. Pleasure.
It's really touches a chord. So what else? Did you have any breaks in life? Any accidents? Any love failures? Or you were you rejected by someone when whom you tried to approach in school?
School was, I think, at that point of time, this is I'm talking of, early 80s, I qualified in 1977, I did my 11th, went on to join college.
You did commerce in college as well.
Yes. So again, story over there. It's been like, somehow I was missing, probably, as would say, I would reach over there, but I would miss it, basically. So my doctor, not getting science and everything, that was one story, and I remember when I got my, when we got our 11th standard results, I was maybe two marks short of getting into SRCC, which was like the prestigious
Yes,
for
yes,
commerce,
yes, yes.
basically. So I missed that by 2 marks, and I got into Hansraj. But it was again like, for me, even for my dad and for all of us in the family, it was like you just missed it, But like you still missed it, basically, For
Ah,
me,
got it.
yeah. So for
Not
me,
good enough kinds.
yeah, yeah. Is there you just couldn't make it, So I went into Hansraj, and it actually for me, that was one major transformation. What happened? So when I got into Hansraj College, I did my first year. I made friends with two of my very good friends, who are chartered accountants. Again, we were like four of us, together. Two of them became a chartered accountant along with me, so we three became chartered accountant. The fourth one actually joined the DCM group, as at that point of time used to be management trainees over there, and that was like a very sought after position, being done over there. And when the first year ended, we could actually do an entrance exam for a CA, qualify that, and you can actually, not do your BCom basically.
Graduation.
Yeah.
Foundation was introduced that time,
So yours
if
was
I'm not.
foundation, ours was called the entrance CA entrance exam.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
so first year I qualified, I cleared my entrance, because my then heart got set out that I would try and do something, so I would become a chartered accountant, because that's now not becoming a doctor, but I should give or do something, basically where my dad feels proud about this, So I cleared my entrance, and I could have joined CA again, but then I said, okay, fine, let me do this 2 years of life into college again, second and third year, and in any case, I'll do my CA after that, so that's how, I think, I don't know whether you call it rejection or, maybe a transformation, which actually happened. So that's how, it all happened from there,
So you qualified your entrance, but you still didn't take it
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
But you did that only to prove to your dad that yes, uh,
Yes, I could. I
I
can
am
do it.
worthy of being your son, kinds.
Yeah, I said I can do it, basically for
Got
him.
it, got
And
it,
it's always
got
like
it.
that, see, Devago, what happens is the eldest one, the benchmark is always,
Yes,
the eldest
yes,
one.
yes,
And
yes.
you
Exactly,
are going to set
exactly.
the tone for your two brothers, and I want everything to be done by you. So you're the scapegoat also. You're also the one who, it's like you want everything from him also. He's the
Oh
guy who's
yes,
going to be the charge.
absolutely. Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
And then you went on to finish your college. After that, what happened after your college?
So after college, then I joined my CA, and as again, luck would have it, the CA seats used to be very, very, very difficult to get. It used to needed to wait for about 6 months to a year before you get a seat in to become to start your horticulture. You had to.
Articleship was in high demand.
No,
Okay.
it was like, all these large companies, basically A.F. Ferguson, Pricewaterhouse, and all never had seats, basically. So my dad
Mm.
had to actually pull up some approach somewhere or the other, tell someone. And finally, after a long wait of about maybe about 6 months to a year, I finally got a seat into SR Bartley Boy and company.
Nice.
Yeah, so that is from where then I
So
did
that
it.
6 to 12 months, what were you doing? Where you were waiting for
No,
your
I was still
article?
working in the company, but you don't get your articleship, but you still work.
You still work, but they don't officially register
Yes,
you. Yes, I
exactly.
remember those days of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
harassment.
So your
Seriously.
your your intermediate exam starts only once you get your articleship. Your Sunday test, used to happen once you start.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
so
The
that
completion
intervening period
certificate.
was that was something which was probably
Got it.
I don't know.
Got it. Got it. Got it. How was your CA journey?
Well, story again. So when I started my CA, the result used to be, let's say, 1%. It was 1%. So uh, for the very first time, when I went to my boss for my first intermediate examination, and I said I need chutti for 1 month to prepare for my exams. He says we can give you 10 days.
Oh, wow.
I said, but
You got 10 days off only
oh, 10 days only. So
for
I
your
said,
CA inter.
CA inter,
Wow.
yeah. So I said, 10 days I will not be able to prepare. He said, don't worry, you'll give it so many times. So you will come back again and again, basically, to take chutti for me. So I'll give you 10 days. I said, I got so scared, I said, and this is what I kept on hearing, and all my, my colleagues around me and everywhere, somebody said, I've given it for the third time. Somebody said, I'm giving it for the fifth
Yes,
time.
yes,
Somebody all
yes,
that.
yes.
And you are going in for your first one. And, I said, this is terrible. Before that, when used to see all that, I told my dad, I said, listen, I think, I've seen a lot of guys, who said they're giving CA for the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time, uh, can I do LLB basically? If I'm not able to qualify as a chartered accountant, at least I'll have a backup degree.
Mm,
He says,
mm.
are you sure that you can do it? I said, yeah, I need to do something. So if I'm not able to qualify as a chartered, I'll do my LLB. So I got myself enrolled in LLB Delhi University evening classes, which used to be held in Mandarmarg, near Connaught Place, basically. So I enrolled in that also as hedging my risks that if I don't qualify as a jargon, I'll at least become an LLB. And LLB used to be like pretty easy. People used to say, "यार ये तो हो जाती है बड़े आराम से." I said, "चल ठीक है,
Yeah.
so I'll do that." No? So I gave my first inter one group. I qualified first time, and
Nice.
my partner over there couldn't believe it. He says, first shot, हो गया, कोई बात नहीं." Anyway, uh, I gave my second one. I qualified again, basically. So I became an intermediate, due course of time, and I was happy. I said, okay, fine. At least I've done half a bit of that. अब अगर नहीं भी होगा तो कोई बात नहीं. I've got LLB plus intermediate half, which is there. So that is how my CA journey was there. And being in a
And
large firm, being in a large firm, it used to be very, very terrible. And this is what I used to tell my kids. I said, for me, my day used to start in the morning. I used to leave. We had an audit in Ghaziabad industrial area, and as would have it, I used to take a roadways bus in the morning from ISBT, get down at Ghaziabad, then not take a rickshaw, walk on that, save money on the rickshaw expense ताकि वो जेब में पैसा आए, and walk down till the industrial area, finish all my audit during the day. 6 o'clock again catch the roadways bus, take the roadways bus down to CP Mandarmarg in the evening, go for your classes from 6 to 9. 9 o'clock, take a DTC bus again, get back home to Model Town. And then, if you have to have it, used to prepare for your Sunday exam, prepare maybe half an hour, 1 hour after, and then get up again at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I said, for me, I did 4 months of that continuously. And for me, it was like, Sunday को exam दे रहे हैं, Saturday को वो कर रहे हैं, Saturday छुट्टी नहीं होता था. It used to
yeah,
be like,
exactly, exactly, exactly.
so that's how life was. But ठीक है.
No, seriously, I mean, the rigor which CA brings in you is so different, right? I mean, compared to any other program in India.
And that at that point of time 1% result, you're not sure whether kitni baar dena. And I had stories like a dad and his,
Son were
his daughter
studying
giving it
together.
simultaneously together. I said, why yaar? This also happens here, no?
No, actually, when you passed out, the results were far lesser than 1%. They were about zero point 0.1, 0.15. Because when I passed out in 2004, the results were 0.4%. and they were higher. When my brother passed, it was 0.3 or something. So I'm sure when you passed, it must be 0.1%.
Yeah.
That's the see. Oh my god! So then you finished your CA. Then what happened?
No, so
Like,
C again has, if I can tell you, so there's again a story behind, when I qualified 1984. 1984, 31st October, riots happened.
yes,
1984.
yes, yes, yes.
That
That's a
was my
very important.
attempt of that was my final attempt, when I was giving my final exams.
Ooh. How did that phase go? I mean, how did it affect you?
So it was terrible, basically because you could hear it everywhere, mobs, lynching, you know, really bad times. 31st, I think I remember, if I remember correctly, 31st, Indira Gandhi was assassinated. First morning we had our first exam,
Ooh,
and my mom and my dad said, nothing doing. You have to drop this, come what may. We will not let you go out of the house. But as luck would have it, I think they postponed it. They postponed it. But from 31st till, I think, the first exam was again being held on the 19th. And 19th November was Indira Gandhi's birthday. So it was like again something which was kind of very difficult to manage. From 31st October when she was assassinated till the 18th, I was not able to study because there was so much of things going on across in there. रात को खड़े होके, everybody in the lane वो रात को पहरा देना, you stand guard to it, so that there's nobody coming, nobody happening across it. It was like those 18 days were like hell. And I was stepping into my first exam on the 19th.
oh my
So,
god.
so my parents said, okay, fine. We will drop you. We'll get you back from there because we don't trust that you get into a bus or a cab or anything, basically. So they used to take me down to the examination center, bring me down from there back home. So that's how, I went into my final exams in 1984. And
And what have the outcome?
and as luck would happen. So, and I don't know. This is again destiny working, hard, or it was like proverbial that it was something which was going to happen. So, in this center, in one room where I was giving my exam, the guy right in front of me was staying 2 lanes away from the same school we were both in the same school. We were different sections, same class. He was also giving his final, I was also giving my final, and both were Sadars, me and the guy in front of me, and he used to live three lanes away from my lane, basically. When the results came out, this guy who was in front of me gives me a call. He says, मैं तो पास हो गया. I've become a chartered accountant. He was like on
Wow.
top of his voice. And I said, I was right behind you. मेरा क्या हुआ? He said, मुझे नहीं पता. I said, yeah, you are saying मुझे नहीं पता means my name is not there, because when the chart is laid out outside the CA Institute, you will naturally, when you're looking at your name, you'll see the next
Yes.
one, which is who's there.
Next one, two, three.
So he says, मुझे नहीं पता. शायद तेरा नहीं हुआ होगा. मैंने तेरा नाम नहीं देखा. Now, for me, that's validation. Somebody is saying that he was right in front of me. He became a child. Well, I'm not. So I told my dad, he says, नहीं हुआ इस बार. He said, okay, चल ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. My younger brother, I don't know, he said, भैया, let's go and see it, na, at least. I said, yeah, नहीं
Mm.
हुआ. This guy called up and it's not there. He said, भैया, let's go and see it, na. What does it take? We have to go to IT only, na. That's it. Let's go and see it. I chal theek hai, very reluctantly, me, my brother, my mom, we just went across over there. And my dad used to be in the next building. He used to work in custom and excise, which was revenue building, which was next to ITO and everything.
Mm.
But, जाके गए, वहां गए, pages सारे फट जाते हैं. It's like, people who are angry or this thing, who have not made it, they start tearing off the pages, so you don't cheat.
Oh,
So
okay.
I went over there, no sheet, nothing across over there. So my brother said, go and ask the guy at least, go to the office, at least ask him.
Mm.
So I, reluctantly, because in my heart I knew that I will not be,
You had already reconciled.
become a chartered accountant. I went over to that guy. He says, so I said, this is my roll number. निकाल के बोला, आप पास हो गए? आप चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट बन गए? नहीं नहीं, मेरा नाम देखो, मेरा नाम देखो, मेरा आगे वाला तो बन गया है, उसका नाम आ गया, बट लुक एट माय नेम। इसे आपका यही वाला नाम है ना? हाँ, यू आर अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट। I don't know what hit me. I didn't know.
I
I
can
started crying.
imagine that.
I don't know what to do. It was like as if, how could it happen? And then I asked him, I said, this was the room, how many numbers? You won't believe it. During that 1984 riots and everything, we were, I think, two Sadars in that whole room. Only two of us qualified in that whole room.
Beautiful.
And then I gave a call back to him. I said, यार उन्होंने हमारे पे दया कर ली है, इसलिए बेचारे हम दोनों सदारों को पास कर दिया, बाकी सबको फेल कर दिया।
Fascinating,
Yeah.
fascinating. How was that moment? Even now you're smiling. I mean, I can see a lot of beautiful I mean,
I
reminiscence in
know,
your face. I mean,
I couldn't believe it. I told my dad. He cried. He said, it was like the first professional degree coming into, and then to chartered accountant. So it was like something unachievable. Like I've done something which was like
yes.
I could see it. They were so proud of the fact. Everybody whom I used to talk in the family, first chartered accountant in the family, then that too a sadar. हमारे लोगों में तो it's more like यू नो वो करेगा, मतलब नॉट इन दिस काइंड ऑफ कोई ट्रक चला रहा होगा या कोई ट्रांसपोर्टर होगा या कुछ होगा, पीपल कैन इवन फैथम दैट somebody from our Sadar family can become a chartered accountant. So it was like something which was completely uh, yeah, I just can't describe it. It was
Fascinating. But tell me this, the fact that you listened to your friend and you got some rumor and you reconciled to destiny and then you went and figured out some for yourself. Today, when you reflect, is there something you stopped doing after that moment?
like sorry, I
Because you assumed, basis half baked information from your friend, that the worst has already happened. And then when you went to deeply explore for yourself, the outcome was very different.
yeah.
After this incident, is there something in your life where you stopped believing half baked information and started getting
Uh,
much more?
I said this is probably something which has taught me, my lesson in life, that unless until you get into it yourself, you will never be able to do it. So that is what I now even practice up till now. That for me, I think, I feel if there is something which is there, and I'm hearing things, coming that this is not how it happens, this is how it happens, this is not.
Ah,
Yeah, and I said, no, I will do it the way I want to do it. I will get into it. I'll find my own way. I will find a solution. I will find my own journey. I will try and do it the way I want to do it. So today, for anything which happens in business, in life, and everything, my only responsibility towards myself is that I will get into it, understand it, and then try to figure out what I need to do basically. So I don't believe in anything like people can come and say, oh boss ye nahi ho sakta. I said,
ah,
I will get into myself, I'll see ho sakta hai nahi ho sakta. I'll,
exactly.
I'll give it my best shot, and I do it. So I think that is these are lessons which you learn in your lives, which actually transform your thought process, transform the way you
Exactly.
actually behave, work, and look at life. I think that's exactly what I learned from there.
No, no, beautiful, HB. Because you did this even in your school when you said, "I won't do science and I'll take up
Yeah,
commerce
I
against
wish.
your dad's wishes."
Yeah,
And yes, and this moment would have only reinforced that belief in you, right? I mean,
exactly,
that
exactly. Yeah.
you beautiful. So then, what happened after that?
So CA, yeah. So I started my practice because again, I have been influenced. For me, my dad was a rock star. Honestly, for me, a guy who really, I think he really worked hard to bring us up. And I think for him that pride was always that that I've got my sons who are all professionals. In fact, I am a chartered accountant, LLB. My younger brother is an MBA. My youngest brother is a BTech from Ivy League and an MBA from Wharton. So I think for him, that is the only thing which he has. He says my assets are these, nothing else. For me, this is everything I've got. So when I started my my again, for my dad was like kind of a, he was like a kind of a visionary, I would say. Before even I had qualified, he actually bought out a office space, and he said, I don't want you to work, I want you to do your own independent practice, because I have worked and I have done a job. I don't want you to do a job. You be on your own, you create yourself a space for yourself, and you do that, basically for him. And you won't believe those time when a telephone used to come after 6 7 years of booking, 6 to
Yes,
8 years of
yes, I've
booking.
heard those stories. Yes, yes, yes.
My dad actually took a telephone 6 years before I even qualified,
Wow.
so that
Wow.
by the time I open up my office, my telephone is at least ready.
Nice.
My office flat, though even a very small one, and he actually went to a builder, the first commercial flat which came up in a place called Azadpur, which was like next to the Mandi in Delhi. And he bought up a flat, not in the fanciful of places, but like still an office which could be called an office. He bought it. He
Nice.
said, "That's for you. You have to start working from there." And as I said, I was so pleased, that I went in. He took me to a couple of his friends, the guys who had, small industries in areas close by, and he said, "Ladke ko kuch kaam do." He's become a chartered
Uh,
accountant. I got
uh,
a couple of accounting, bookkeeping entries and accounting entries to make, and do that. I started with that to become an accountant for somebody else, and that's what it was. My dad had, I remember, a blue a Vespa scooter, and I used to says, can I borrow this? So I used to go to the client's place, do the accounting during the day. Sham ko aa jata tha, and that was fun, for me. It was like I was on my own doing
Beautiful.
something.
So it looks like at least now you heeded to your dad's calling,
Yeah,
got into the office. You had
yeah.
it. It's a brilliant story. Yeah? For someone to even book a telephone 6 years before, anticipating his son would get there. I mean, fabulous.
and
Real,
and
real.
that particular, why I'm telling you this is because that's the vision which I have always carried on. So since he was a visionary who could actually book a telephone 6 years before his son could actually start practicing, for me today in my life I do that. I visualize 5 years ahead. I
Got it.
visualize myself 5 years ahead. How it's gonna turn out to be. Whether this business is going to be like this. What do we need to do it? And that is probably what I've learned from him. And that's what the reason why I said I always used to think that he was my rock star. He could teach me which nobody else could. And it's just a small thing. That he was booking a telephone 6 years in advance. For me today, and now if I look at it, I run my business, I run my life, I'll run everything now based on a future ready program. That am I able to visualize what happens after 5 years? Am I able to visualize that? And I will prepare myself right now, basically, to take myself on, for that. And that is how probably I think I've learned from him.
Beautiful. Beautiful. HP. I mean, so can you give some instances in terms of how he has impacted you in your in the way you engage with your children?
Uh, I think he taught me. I think what he taught me was values which I don't even forget up till now, and that's exactly the values which have actually been taken by my children also. I've got two daughters, but what he taught me was, "बेटा किसी का दिल कभी मत दुखाना." That's the first thing he
Hmm.
says. Uh, be truthful to yourself and truthful till whatever time you can.
Hmm. Hmm.
एंड ही सेज, यू वोंट बिलीव इट, एक बार झूठ बोलने पे ना तेरे को बहुत बारी बोलना पड़ेगा बेटा उसको कवर करने लिए. सो डोंट एवर डू दैट. बी रिमेन ऑनेस्ट. किसी को परेशान मत करना. Go out and help everybody, and that's exactly what I followed, and that's exactly what my kids do. Honestly, I
Nice.
have never ever have had to tell my kids ever कि तूने झूठ बोला है. Never
Hmm.
ever.
Hmm.
Never
Hmm.
ever, have they actually went out and said that, like, I've heard somebody or I've done it. Unwillingly, willingly, never ever, we try and do that. And for us, honesty, transparency, I think, that's what it's ingrained into our blood.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine. And
Like,
you are the lending business. I
yeah,
mean,
it's a
this is a
natural business. It's a natural
yes.
thing which come to us. That come what may. We have to be honest and transparent, and that's what I learned from him. That, and today for me, if I look at the broad spectrum of my whole life, I can't find anyone who could probably say that, okay, if you ever hurt me, or you actually, you know, like you did anything wrong for us or even thought about us. And, in spite of, having, run this business on practically on my own shoulders, I don't have a legacy or a lineage or a big brother like a fund or anybody. I've done it through my own this thing. But the only thing which you've done is just be truthful about it, even if it's harsh, even if it's bad, even if it sounds, for people to feel that, okay, fine, this is not it should be done. We still do it. Because we feel that, एक बार, for to cover up a shoot, you'll have to do hundreds and hundreds of
Oh,
them.
yes. Yes, yes,
It
yes.
doesn't end then.
No, no, very nice. Very, very nice. So, from practice to entrepreneurship, how did that jump happen?
Again, I think, for me, I loved numbers always. For me, that whole, I think, dream was always there to do something, which is kind of can become big, where I can make a mark, and where I can do something where I can be my own self by creating something, which was there. So, uh, my dad knew a lot of his friends, who used to run these retail outlets of electronics, basically. So I started my first journey initially by doing financing for these TV, fridges, and all that. So dealer network. My dad knew a few of them. I actually went out and said, okay, fine, I'll finance the TV and VSS for your customers. I did that. It was
And
successful.
how did you raise cap? Initially, it was your own proprietary money which you put
It
in.
was, yes, it was. So this was like the start which happened. And then uh, once I formally actually went into the finance business, I asked my dad, can you give me some money? So he had retired in 1988, and this was 1990 when I first formally launched Satin. And
Nice.
I went to my dad and I said, okay, can you give me some money? He said, out of my gratuity pension, what I've got, I've got this 50,000, and I think, it turned out to be 1 lakh of rupees ultimately. He says, take this, don't come back after this to me, because this is what I can afford. I've
Beautiful.
got two other brothers, and I can do that. For me, that was enough. That at least my dad had that confidence that he was giving me 1 lakh. 1990, 1 lakh of rupees was like also, good amount for
Oh,
any
significant.
pensioner, to probably give it to his son. And then I went on my own. We started financing gensets from Shriram Honda. I went out, made presentations to them. I took some credit from them. So my business started working on financing of gensets. Come what may, raised capital money from my friends, from relatives, from whosoever it was. So it was like, one after the other, set the ball rolling, and we were profitable from day one, come what may.
Nice.
And that's how, I think, the journey started. But again, very frugal, very little. It was like taking one step, small step every day, going ahead and do that. So that's from where, it all started. But the seed
And where,
capital.
where, where are you today, HP,
So
in
today,
your venture?
so we, I look after, the listed entity, which is a microfinance company, which has got an AUM of about 10,800 crores.
Nice.
Uh, the family and me and my family still own about 36% of the entity. We've got three subsidiaries now, one which does housing finance, one which does MSME lending, and we just opened up a technology company. All everybody put together in the group, it's about 12,000 odd crores, which is the AUM. And I think, starting from my journey of 1 lakh of rupees, I think, I've
Beautiful.
come somewhere
Beautiful.
where I can probably say that yes, I made my dad proud.
Oh, fascinating. Fascinating. I mean, what a story here. And what I see, I think your dad's been a massive pillar behind you, right, all through in life.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
And in your venture, uh, the journeys you have traveled, I mean, I'm sure the Great Depression would have had a telling impact. Demon would have had a massive impact. There was backlash, I believe, in Andhra in the microfinance industry at some point in time, where the government went after the MFIs. Uh, Especially, I think I forgot the name. I think Mr. Vikramakula's.
SKS.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that's, yeah.
Uh, so because I used to track that industry, I was in. We also raised almost 250 million from a European payments bank when we. I was doing microfinance for a bit, and they went bankrupt. They dragged us along. It was chaos. I think the entire industry went through chaos. Can you tell me what were your lowest point in the lending business? Because it's such a volatile business where you always have to be on top of your game for it to succeed.
So my lowest point during my microfinance days was demonetization. I think that the first time when I hit this, 2010, when the Andhra crisis came in, we were still kind of small, and I always had that confidence that for me, I can navigate any crisis, and that's the confidence which I even have till date. That come what may, that thing it is me that I'll fight it out. When demonetization came, 74% of our portfolio was hit.
Ooh.
We were the only ones who was operating in North, and North, the currency was unavailable. The new notes were unavailable, so the borrowers were actually not paying because they didn't have the new notes. Rest everywhere in India, I think that the new currency was circulating back into the system, but in North, it wasn't there to be, and we had elections in UP, in Uttarakhand, and Punjab during those days, basically.
Ooh.
And as luck would have it for us, out of a portfolio of, if I remember correctly, out of a portfolio of about 2,400 odd crores, close to about 1,200 odd crores was in portfolio at risk, basically,
Ooh.
or and above. So it was like, and I remember my net worth was 683 crores. So like 1,100, 1,200 crores of, NPAs as against a net worth of 683 crores, you are twicely run over,
Mm-hmm.
So एक बार में
That is
नहीं
a negative net worth at that significant.
no chance of coming back, and I don't know what to do, to be very honest, because then we were the hardest hit amongst all the MFIPs. Rest everything was in South. We were the only northern place, which was there, and UP being our largest territory, it was like completely mayhem, But I don't know. For me, it's happened across that whenever a crisis hit, I always shore up myself, and I said, okay, fine, let me now go out and do what is unthinkable. I
Mm-hmm.
actually, during demonetization, we actually brought in ADB as and brought in capital from there. We got about 10 million from there.
Okay.
I actually put in about 90 crores of my own, beg, borrowed, stole, did whatever it was, to put in the money, to give people the confidence, and to my own boys the confidence that, it's not down and out.
System is running.
A lot of our peers, actually said it on, in their interviews on national TVs and everything, that UP is burning, and entities who are there in UP will completely vanish and everything. So it was like, that let me work it out and let me fight that out. We did that. I raised, and I still remember, I raised about 200 odd crores of sub debt from Mr. Vedyanathan, who used to head Capital First at the point of time, and
Mm-hmm.
he had that confidence in me. He says, "I know you'll pull through. Even I can see your number; they're so bad, but I have that confidence that you pull through." And we did. And you won't believe it. I used to talk to each one of my loan officer. I used to talk to each one of my branch manager every day. It used to be like I'm spending at least 10 hours, 12 hours on the phone, talking to them, motivating them. Don't lose hope. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it. Our collection efficiency had dropped down to about 20 odd percent. We brought it
Ooh.
slowly from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60. And finally, then after maybe about a year, year and a half, we were able to come down to 90, 98, 99 back again. But that whole journey of about year and a half, it was like I didn't sleep. I don't know what
I can imagine. Yes.
sleep meant. I don't know what eating meant. I don't know. I lost my sense of my taste, my this thing. I don't know what I was like a zombie day in and day out working out. Just with one hope in mind. I have to get this back. I will not fail
Mm.
and I will not go out of business. Because that is what it was written. Saturn was written off by each and every one over there, and we came back. And that was my biggest victory. That in spite of so much of the chips being down so hard, we were still able to come back. So
Nice. And how did it feel after coming out of the crisis when you saw the collection efficiency as 96, 98%?
I was thankful. I was thankful that I could do it. I was thankful to my boys. That they had this faith in the institution as well as in me as well as in themselves, that I could actually pull them up forward and we could do it. So I think it was more to be as I would for me it was like being thankful for what we've done. It was not that something we pulled it out ourselves. I said we pulled it all together, but we were all thankful to each other that we were able to do it, and that gave us that supreme confidence ever that whatever might happen, the tailwinds are very bad these days, but it doesn't phase us anymore. It doesn't, people get bogged down by that, or people try and actually for them it's like kind of very difficult to accept this, but for us it's like, okay, fine, that is what it is, we will pass through it, and it actually
Fast.
gives you an answer to how you are able to address this. Every crisis brings something new out of it. We opened up our two subsidiaries, of housing finance and MSME lending, secured business, because this was all unsecured. We said let's venture out. That was in 2017. So for us the learning was that if we are able to shift something from unsecured business to the secured business, I think we'll be hedging our risks to a certain extent, and we did that, and that's actually paying us now good deed, that these two companies are now slowly coming into shape, and we can see the green shoots also coming out from there.
No, I mean, fascinating story, HP. Now, if you were much younger than who you are today, okay, let's say 30 years behind, what is it that you think you would have done differently in your life, given armed with the wisdom which you have today?
I I don't think so. I would have done anything differently, basically, because I've got, for me, maybe I would have actually done something different, basically, not this, I feel that I have a lot of meat and creativity, which is there in me, basically. Maybe it's not been tapped to the full. When I say that it's been not tapped to the full, is basically because the ecosystem which actually defines us and bounds us, is probably doesn't give credence to someone who probably has that capability of doing something very different. Again, just to explain this,
Uh, I can,
feel
I
that,
mean, I get where you're coming from. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
sometimes you feel that you can do so much of it, but you're not able to. Why?
yes,
Basically because there's a system which defines you. There are I won't, that's probably a harsh word, but I can still say it. There are shackles which will probably bind you down. You have to work in a this thing, and it's not a fair world. It's a very
yes,
unfair world, an
yes,
unfair world on a everyday basis. You want to do something, but you probably are not able to do it because you cannot tell somebody that this is what I really want to do, because I'll have to follow that same path which you probably want to do it, and this is how
exactly.
the world works, and that is what I probably have to do. So for me, I feel that I'm like a free bird. I want to do what I really want to do, even if it's against probably not the rules, but it's against the normal way
The
what people
convention, yeah,
try and do.
yes, yes, yes.
It's different. I want to do that, but somehow the only place where I really get bogged down is that even after 34 years of my life, which I've put in across over there, we still get we still do not get that kind of a I think an answer to us. Why? Because we don't have a great name behind us. We don't have a big brother. We don't have a big fund. We don't have a large peer who's there to there. And even if you perform 10 times much better than somebody else who's got, let's say, a big brother behind him, I think they are seen in a much better light rather than
Exactly.
someone who's like you know a Gominda from a chawl. Basically, what would you be able to do it? Because this guy can probably do it much better, but they forget that I do it on my own. They do it through on the crutches of whosoever it is. I,
Exactly.
I think it is kind of very uh,
It is unfair. I think you hit it spot on. I mean, when you said even though I want to do so much, I'm unable to do because the system is not enabling
yeah,
around you. The environment has so many constraints and layers of uh, friction at every level where it makes it literally impossible for you to succeed beyond a certain pace.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely, you're
Right.
absolutely right. Bang on.
One of the reasons I moved to the US was precisely the same challenge, HP. Because when I wanted to build aggregate the Indian chartered accountancy industry in 2012, when I built a platform where we boarded 2,000 odd CAs and lawyers, there were so many notices we got on why we should not be doing this. This
Exactly.
violates this law. I mean, you name it, we have. And it was so tiring. The energy an entrepreneur spends on managing the environment is so high.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The
You know,
creativity just gets tired for its expression.
exactly. And it'll be controversial. I know. But for us, there are I think stakeholders who probably will could be your bankers, your equity investors, the stock market, the analysts, the rating agencies, and everything. Boss, this is me. This is same, exactly same, someone like me who's doing the same business, same contours. This is me, a Sadar from northern India, no legacy, no lineage, no big name, no big daddy. And this is someone who's done the same thing. I've done it much better than him, but all the bouquets, kudos, numbers, everything will go over here. And I am 10 times better than that. Be it if you talk about things, my processes, my technology, my numbers, my credit cost, the way I do, I'm 10 times better. But this is recognition to this is like ah, कुछ तो
Yes.
गड़बड़ किया होगा तूने, कुछ
Yes,
तो
yes,
कुछ
yes.
तो ऐसा ही है, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता मतलब, you,
Uh,
what is, who's behind you? There's nothing, how can you do it? It's like you write somebody off just because he doesn't have, वो सड़क पे टक्कर होता है ना, हमारे यहाँ पे कहता है ना, तू नहीं जानता मेरा बाप कौन है, ऐसे नहीं ना, मैं तो अनाथ हूँ यार, आई एम एन ऑर्फन यार, मैं तो कह ही नहीं सकता, तो मैं तो दो चांटे इधर से भी खाऊंगा, दो चांटे उधर से भी खाऊंगा, so I think that's how, when I said the world is unfair, it is unfair, yes it is.
oh, absolutely. See, I mean, why India is okay to have an ENY prosper, but not our own Indian firms succeed? When Britishers, we were happy for British to rule, but not the princely ruler to rule our own country. I think we still have a long way to come out of this mindset.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I keep on telling him. I said, you don't have a strategic investor. I said, you mean to say a big name? I said, I'm okay with it. I do it much better than anybody else. You look at my numbers and my everything. I do better. He says, oh, but they've got this XYZ, who's a very large fund, and he comes with this billions of dollars and this thing. Anything happens, he'll always be there. I said, I won't let that anything happen to me. That's where the
Exactly.
difference is. I will not let that anything happen to me. But over there, anything happens, then you will probably come in and save this thing. I won't do it because I am like that. I will try and save because it's my hard-earned money. This is my prestige, my reputation. So
Yes,
that's where the difference lies. But I think people don't understand it. It says okay, fine. They're still better. You're
absolutely.
not better. I said yeah, that's okay.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. I mean, I can completely resonate because we are also bootstrapped, 0 to 300 million entirely bootstrapped. we still haven't gone and raised capital, but I've come across this conversation so many times. So many times. Who's behind you?
Who's behind
Who's
you?
be- Why do I need someone behind me?
Exactly.
Well, but, uh, anyways, I mean, maybe if it was, I just wanted to give you a warm hug if I were sitting next to you. But
Same here.
maybe when you're here, or you're based out of Delhi,
Gurgaon, to be precise. Yeah.
Gurgaon, right? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe
But
definitely
whenever you're visiting this side, please drop in. I think
for
there's so
sure.
much to share, so much to talk about.
Seriously, seriously, and it was a wonderful, wonderful conversation, HB. I mean,
Thank you.
I think one of my real wishes is for these conversations for our guests to play to their grandkids.
Yeah.
I think that's the real purpose, where you should feel proud of showcasing this interview with your grandchild. I think
Yeah.
that's what we are ultimately trying
Let's
to.
see. Hopefully someday. Yeah.
Because most of the times, our own families, especially the next gen, they won't understand the struggles which we have gone through, the environments, the odds which you had to fight to be who you are. It's even beyond the realm of imagination, because
Exactly. Exactly.
they come
Yeah.
into a world with so much of privilege which you've given after all your struggles. They can't
Correct.
even imagine a world of that nature could exist.
Exactly. I know. Very true.
No,
Very
no.
true. Very true.
Fascinating. And thank you,
Pleasure.
HP. It was a pleasure. It was an
Same here.
absolute
Pleasure for
pleasure and a treat to have
no. Thank you
had this
so much.
conversation
No.
for the
No, it's a
last
pleasure, talking to you basically.
seriously, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, and look forward to catching up with you very
Sure.
personally.
Definitely.